The story is entitled Brothers, written by Willow the Schizo. Within the description of this video, you will find the link for commissions. My brother and I were abandoned by our parents. We never understood why or what we could have done to possibly make the ones who gave us life hate us so much. I was only 3 when my parents left, making my brother Jaden only a year older. My name is Willow, by the way. Currently, as I am writing this, I am 23. I have been locked up in a mental asylum for the last 7 years. The events of which I am about to tell you are the reason I am here. Having access to the library, I have decided it was time to finally tell my story. The earliest memories I have are with my brother Jaden at the orphanage. I couldn't have asked for a better house mother than Miss DeWald. She was always so kind and thoughtful. She loved everyone at the home so much. Sometimes she made us all forget our parents even left. Sometimes she made us see her as our true mother. She loved surprises, especially if she was giving the surprise. The best surprise she ever gave us was a beautiful dog. She was a beautiful golden retriever pup. We all loved that dog, all of us. Except for Jaden, that is. For some reason, Jaden just never seemed to get along with Buttercup. That's what we named her. Buttercup never did anything to him that anyone saw, but Jaden always seemed so agitated with her. One day, we decided to cook a ton of food and go for a picnic. Sadly, all of that was interrupted when I stepped outside and saw Buttercup, dead on the ground, covered in blood. I called out to Miss DeWald, tears streaming down my face, probably a lot of snot running down as well. Hearing the door to the house slam and a familiar voice screaming my name, asking what's wrong.
Willow, what?
The sentence cut short by a gasp of agony. I heard plenty of gasps behind me, but as I held Buttercup's lifeless body in my arms, the cries and screams of the other kids began. Now covered in blood, the time from which I grabbed Buttercup's body and the time I was brought inside felt like forever. I now sat in my room, Jaden beside me. Soon, everything grew dark, and the quiet room, occupied by 2 beds, 2 nightstands, and 2 young orphan children, began to grow dark. Silence fell over the room, and honestly, I felt as if nothing could ever break the ringing that followed the emptiness. I can't remember when I fell asleep, but the next thing I remember is waking up to the sunlight pouring in through my window. Looking around, I noticed that my brother, Jaden, was nowhere to be found. Awake enough to get out of bed, I left my room and noticed the silence in the house immediately. I stepped through the empty hallway that led to the stairway down to the living area of the home. But as I got to the top of the stairs, I saw the living area and found everything was covered in blood. Stunned at the sight, I watched in petrified silence as I saw Jaden walking towards the stairs, blood-drenched and holding a large knife, his head lowered. It was hard for me to see his face. It was almost as if his face was completely covered in blood, or shadow, or something darker. Filled with fear, I found myself stuck in place. Seeing my brother covered in blood, the silence in the house was once again filled with a sharp ringing. After what seemed like hours, a familiar voice yelling at me. The word, "Run!" finally cut me out of my stunned state, and I began to run, heading to the attic. I sat there, trying to cover my mouth to silence my heavy breathing. I began to feel my heartbeat as if it were pounding in my ears. Shortly after, the pounding of my heart was replaced with sirens. Once the sound of the sirens filled the house, the door to the attic was opened. Several men with guns and flashlights filled the opening. The dark, stuffy attic was now filled with beams of light from the flashlights, and the silence replaced with screams to get down and drop the knife. Looking down, I noticed the kitchen knife that was once in Jaden's hand was now in mine. The next thing I remember from the night was waking up in a hospital room. A doctor later came in to check in on me. Noticing I was awake, he read off my charts. Among others, I was diagnosed with not only schizophrenia, but split personality. Within the early months of my stay in the mental asylum, they informed me that I never had a brother. My parents were found dead, stabbed to death. The report said that I was also stabbed, but they believed that my father jumped in the way to protect me. From the beginning, I was the reason this all happened. Not only did I kill everybody in the orphanage, but I killed my own parents as well. I then created Jaden as a way to keep from being alone, and as a way to push punishment on someone else and keep it away from me. As I said before, I was sent to this mental asylum 7 years ago, and in a short few months, I will be released back into the world. I am looking forward to being able to leave this place. I'm sick of hearing the screams, from the children to Mr. Wald. All they do is scream.